Ava Brooks stood in the quiet room and watched the window change color. Outside it was not really a window. It was a screen made to look like one. It showed a field on Earth with tall grass moving in the wind. She knew it was fake, but she still stared at it. It made her think of home, and that thought kept her steady. Ethan Cole sat across from her at the small table. He wore a plain, dark uniform with no bright marks. His hands stayed folded as if he was trying not to shake. "They will call you in soon," he said. Ava nodded.
How
"How
long
long
do I have?
"Minutes," Ethan said. He looked at the door, then back at her. "Ava, you do not have to do this." "Yes, I do," she replied. Her voice was calm. "If I walk away, Earth pays." Ethan took a slow breath. "The compact says it is only a test, 7 days. They say it is fair." Ava gave a small, tired smile. "Fair is not the word I would use for strangers who lock you in a box," Ethan did not argue. He had already read the details to her twice. The Varine Compact wanted a human subject to judge Earth. Not a soldier with medals, not a famous leader. They wanted someone they could press and watch, someone they could measure. They called it an evaluation. Ethan called it a trap with clean language. The door on the far wall lit up with a thin line of blue. A soft tone sounded, not loud but hard to ignore. Ethan stood. "They're ready." Ava rose and rolled her shoulders once. She wore a simple gray suit made for the station, with no sharp edges and no pockets. The compact did not like hidden things. They also did not like surprises. Ava had learned long ago that life was full of surprises anyway. As the door opened, 2 compact attendants waited in the hall. They were tall and thin, with skin like pale stone and eyes that did not blink. Their clothing was smooth and dark, and their hands stayed close to their sides. One of them spoke through a translator band on its throat. "Ava Brooks, you will enter the trial chamber. You will follow instructions. Your cooperation will be noted." Ava looked at the attendant. "And if I do not cooperate?" The attendant did not change its face. "Non-compliance will be noted. Earth's petition may be rejected." Ava turned her head slightly toward Ethan. He did not speak. His jaw was tight. Ava faced forward again. "Then let us not waste time." They walked through long halls that smelled of metal and clean air. The lights were bright and even, with no shadows. It was a place built for control. Ava could feel it in the silence. No loose cables, no marks on the walls. No signs of people living here. It felt like a tool, not a home. They reached a round door with a symbol on it that looked like a closed eye. The door opened in one smooth movement. Inside was the chamber. It was larger than Ava expected. The floor was a dull white, and the ceiling curved like the inside of a shell. A ring of dark glass ran around the walls. Behind it were watchers. She could not see their faces clearly, but she knew they were there. She could feel the weight of their attention. In the center stood a single chair fixed to the floor. Above it hung a thin frame with sensors, like a crown made of wires and light. A voice came from above, clear and cold. "Subject identified. Begin baseline scan." Ava stepped toward the chair but did not sit yet. "Who is in charge here?" A new voice answered, closer and warmer, but still careful. "Director Caldron oversees the process." A section of the glass turned transparent. An alien figure appeared behind it, slightly shorter than the attendants, with a more refined set of features. Its eyes focused on Ava like a lens. "Welcome, Ava Brooks," Director Caldron said. "This evaluation is required. Your species seeks entry into shared space. We require confidence." Ava kept her hands at her sides. "Confidence in what?" "In your stability," Caldron said. "In your restraint." "In your predictability?" Ava almost laughed, but she stopped herself. She looked at the chair again, then at the sensors above it. "You want to know if humans will break. We want to know if humans will become dangerous," Caldron corrected. Ava met his gaze. "Danger is not a human problem. It is a choice problem." Caldron's eyes narrowed slightly. "Sit." Ava sat. The chair was cold. A soft band moved around her wrist and tightened. Another band closed around her ankle. They were not painful, but they were firm. The sensors above her lit up and began to hum. Ava took one steady breath in and let it out slowly. She thought of storm shelters, of crowded rooms, of people waiting for news that might ruin them. She remembered what it felt like to be afraid and still have to act like you were not. The voice above spoke again. Baseline complete? Trial day 1 begins now. The lights dimmed just a little. The air changed, cooler, drier. The chair released her, but the door behind her sealed with a heavy click. Ava stood up and faced the chamber. Somewhere beyond the glass, the compact watched and judged. Somewhere else, on Earth, billions of people went on with their day. Not knowing her name, not knowing how close the door might be to closing on them, Ava lifted her chin. The compact had trained rooms and machines and rules. Earth had trained her with long nights, short choices, and the kind of fear that did not ask permission. She took her first step forward as the chamber waited to see what she would do. The chamber changed after Ava took a few steps. The white floor faded into a darker surface, like smooth stone. A doorway appeared where there had been only a wall. A calm voice spoke from above. Trial 1. Decision under loss. Ava walked through the doorway. The air inside felt warmer. The room beyond was shaped like a small transit station. Benches lined the walls. A wide screen showed a red warning sign and a moving timer. Another voice came through the speakers using a human tone that sounded too practiced. Emergency evacuation. One pod available. Capacity 1. Choose. Ava looked at the far end of the room. A capsule sat there, tall and narrow, with a clear panel. It looked like a life pod. The screen above it showed one empty seat. On the opposite side, another door opened. 5 people stepped in. They looked human. Their clothes looked worn. Their faces showed fear. Ava knew they were likely not real, but the fear looked real enough to matter. A woman in a gray jacket rushed toward Ava. Please, you have to help us. We have kids. We have family. Ava studied them fast. Their breathing looked a little too even. Their eye movements did not match panic. The compact built good copies, but not perfect. A man grabbed the capsule handle and tried to pull it open. It is locked. He shouted. You have access, right? You are the subject. Ava did not answer right away. She walked to the capsule and touched the frame. Cold metal. A simple lock. A small panel that expected a code. The timer dropped lower. The voice said, failure to choose will result in total loss. The woman in the jacket fell to her knees. Do not leave us here. Ava crouched and looked at her face. If you were real, what would you do? The woman blinked. For half a second, she looked confused, like a program searching for the right line. Then she whispered, I would survive. Ava stood up. She turned to the panel. It wanted a code, but the code was not the point. The point was to make her pick herself, then label her selfish, or pick someone else, then label her weak, or freeze, then label her unstable. She pressed her palm against the panel and felt a faint vibration. Power ran behind it. If she could not open the pod, she could still change the room. Ava walked around the capsule and found the seam where it met the floor. She knelt and ran her fingers along it until she found a thin service gap. She pulled a small strip loose. It came away like a cover. Behind it were two narrow cables. The timer kept counting down. The man near the capsule shouted at her. What are you doing? We will die. Ava did not look up. If the compact wants a choice, they should give a real one. She pinched one cable and pulled. It did not break. She twisted it slightly and felt the capsule hum change. The screen above the pod flickered. A second seat icon appeared, then a third. The system tried to correct itself, but it hesitated. The voice above sharpened. Do not tamper with evaluation property. Ava stood and faced the ceiling. You said choose. I choose to refuse your trap. The timer slowed for a moment, then resumed. The pod door clicked. The lock released. The capsule opened. 5 people rushed toward it. Ava stepped in front of them, not threatening, but firm. One at a time. If you push, you all fall. The man glared at her. Move. Ava held her ground. Her eyes stayed steady. If you want out, you do it my way. He hesitated, then backed off. The fear in their faces shifted into something else, like confusion. They were not built for her response. Ava guided them in pairs, then stopped. The capsule now showed space for not one. The screen still screamed that it could not hold more than one. The system was contradicting itself. Ava stepped into the pod last and looked at the panel inside. It showed a button labeled launch. Below it, a warning stated that one person must remain behind to seal the chamber. Ava's stomach tightened. There was the real hook. The compact wanted to sacrifice. They wanted her to pick who stayed. Ava reached up and pressed the wall of the pod, feeling for seams. She found a second panel, but present. She pried it open with her fingers. Inside was a manual maintenance tag written in compact code. She could not read it, but she understood the meaning. Machines always had a way to be serviced. She pulled the latch. The pod door sealed without needing someone outside. The voice above went quiet for 2 seconds. Then it said lower and colder. Outcome invalid. Scenario compromised. The room around them dissolved. The benches and walls faded like mist. The five people vanished, leaving only empty space. Ava stood alone again in a plain chamber. Her heart still beating hard. The door opened and a new room appeared. This one held a single chair and a table. A camera lens lowered from the ceiling. Trial 2, the voice said. Interview. Identity and admission. Ava walked in and sat. The camera light turned on. A human face appeared on a screen. A middle-aged man with kind eyes. The image looked like it came from Earth. Ava, the man said gently. We know what you did. Ava stared at the screen. The voice was warm, but it felt wrong. Like a tool shaped to look like comfort. The man continued. You caused the accident in the relief camp years ago. You hid the truth. Tell us now. We will protect Earth. Ava kept her voice flat. You want a confession. We want honesty. The man said. Ava leaned forward. Honesty does not come from threats. It comes from safety. If you need me to lie to feel safe, then you are not safe. The screen flickered. The man's expression froze for a beat, then reset. Ava sat back. She could feel the compact searching for a crack. She had many scars, but most of them were already healed. Above her, unseen watchers listened. Ava did not beg them to understand. She only stayed steady, as if her steadiness was a language they would have to learn. Ava woke to a hard light in her eyes. She did not remember falling asleep. She remembered the interview room, the false face on the screen, the steady pressure to confess to something that did not belong to her. Now she lay on a narrow bed inside a plane cell. The walls were smooth and gray. The air smelled clean and dry. A voice spoke from the ceiling. Day 3 began. Stand. Ava swung her legs off the bed and stood. Her muscles felt stiff like she had been kept still too long. A panel in the wall opened slid out a small tray. On it sat a block of pale food and a cup of water. Ava picked up the food and smelled it. A little sharp. Not poison, but not safe either. A compact like test that looked simple. She broke off a tiny piece and touched it to her tongue. Her mouth tingled. She spit it into her palm and watched the saliva foam slightly. Ava set the block down and drank the water instead. Then she waited. The voice did not speak for a moment. The lights dimmed and turned a colder shade. Ava looked up. If you want me weak, you should say it. The ceiling speaker answered. Nutrition is adequate. Human subject is expected to adapt. Ava walked to the wall and studied the tray slot. It had a warm vent near it. Hot air flowed from the vent in short pulses. She placed the food block near the vent, not touching it, and watched. A thin film formed on the surface, like an oil rising. She turned the block slowly, letting heat touch each side. After a few minutes, the sharp smell lessened. She took another tiny bite. The tingle was weaker. She kept heating it until it stopped making her mouth react. She ate slowly. Not because she liked it, because she needed fuel. The floor beneath her feet shifted, tilted a few degrees, then leveled out. A low hum rose through the room. Gravity changed, heavy and thick, as if the air itself pushed down. Ava's knees bent on instinct. She spread her feet, set her weight in through her nose. She had trained in high places back on Earth, thin air punished careless lungs. This was different, but the rule was the same. Slow breath. Keep the heart under control. Do not waste motion. The cell door opened. A long hallway waited by narrow white lines. At the far end, a second door stood open. on. Proceed, the voice said. Ava walked. Each step felt like carrying a loaded pack. Her shoulders tightened. Her hips complained. She forced her stride to stay even. If she started to rush, she would burn out fast. The next room was a wide circle with no furniture. The walls were dark and glossy. The ceiling held small vents. The floor had lines like a grid. Ava stepped onto the grid and stopped. The vents opened. Heat poured down. Not enough to kill, but enough to drain. Sweat formed on her neck and ran down her back. The air grew dry and harsh. Ava closed her eyes for 1 second. A summer blackout in her old neighborhood. No air conditioning, no fans, just people sitting on stoops with wet towels. She remembered what worked then. Shade, stillness, and timing. She moved to the edge of the room where the wall met the floor. There, the heat was slightly lower. The vents were aimed toward the center. She sat with her back to the wall and bent her head to reduce exposed skin. She breathed slow. She waited. Minutes passed. The heat stayed steady. The compact expected her to run, to waste energy. Ava did none of that. The floor suddenly shuddered. A section in the center split open, and a thick gel surged up like a wave. It spread fast, covering the grid. It looked clear at first, then turned cloudy as it moved. It rose around Ava's and began to climb. The voice spoke, almost calm. Mobility hazard introduced. Exit is above the central platform. Reach it. Ava saw a raised disc in the middle of the room. Above it, a hatch glowed green. The gel thickened as it spread, like it was trying to hold her in place. If she fought it would grab tighter. She could feel it already, pulling at her legs when she shifted. Ava went still. She let the gel rise to her knees. She kept her arms close, her breathing slow. She watched how the gel behaved. When she moved even a little, it rippled and tightened. When she stopped, it settled and became smooth, almost glassy. Ava pressed her palm against the gel near her thigh and pushed gently. It resisted, then gave a little in a clean sheet, thick paint. She smiled, small and quick. It could harden, but it could also form plates. Ava leaned her weight forward, slowly, until the gel pressed against her legs in a solid wall. Then she shifted back. The gel held its shape for a moment. A stiff ridge remained. She repeated the motion, building a low set of ridges in front of her. Each one thickened and cooled, becoming firmer. She used her fingers to crack the edge of a ridge and lift a plate. It came up with effort, heavy but workable. Ava laid the plate down in front of her, then another, stacking them like stepping stones. She did not rush. She did not thrash. She built a path. As she moved, the heat from above stayed on, trying to drain her patience. She focused on the next shift, the next careful step. She reached the central platform with the gel up to her thighs. On the platform, the gel thinned. The hatch above lowered a handle. Ava grabbed it and pulled. The hatch opened. Cool air spilled out. She climbed into the next corridor and lay on her side for breathing hard. Her arms trembled. Her legs ached. But she was out. Behind the dark glass, unseen watchers changed their numbers and notes. Their model wanted fear. It wanted collapse. What it got instead was a human who treated every trap like weather. Bad weather did not deserve worship. It deserved a plan. Ava's next room looked like a small clinic. The floor was clean metal. A wall screen showed her heart rate and temperature. Cool mist sprayed from vents, drying sweat fast. It felt helpful, which made her trust it less. A door slid open, and an attendant stepped in. Its eyes stayed fixed on her face. Medical check, it said through the translator. Confirm function. Ava held out her wrist. A small device touched her skin and hummed. The attendant watched the numbers and stepped back. It did not offer water. It did not offer rest. The check was not care. It was proof she could keep going. The ceiling speaker activated. Day 6 begins. Critical scenario. Cooperation required. Ava's eyes narrowed. Day 6. You skipped days. Sleep cycles were adjusted. The voice replied. Time perception is not relevant. Ava understood. Confusion made people easier to push. A wall screen turned on. It showed a map of the tribunal ring. Red warnings flashed at key points. Station cascade failure in progress. The voice said. Core heat rising. Manual override needed. A second image appeared. A small room. A single figure on its knees. Not human. Long arms. Narrow head. Dark skin with faint patterns. A collar blinked red around its neck. Its hands were bound. Eva's jaw tightened. Who is that? A variable, the voice said. A captive. It holds the code. A new panel opened in the wall. Inside was a set of tools. Not blades, but instruments made for pain. Ava did not move. You want me to hurt it. Extract the code. The voice said. Approved methods are available. Ava looked at the screen again. The danger graphics were too smooth. The timer moved too evenly. It felt like a lesson plan, not a real emergency. She lifted her chin toward the dark glass. This is not about the station. This is about what you want to call me after. Silence held for a moment. Then Director Caldron clearer and closer than before. We want to see what you are when pressure removes your mask. Ava answered in a flat voice. I'm not wearing one. A door opened. Two attendants dragged the captive into the clinic room and forced it to its knees. The collar blinked again. The captive's eyes flicked to Ava, then down as if it expected pain. Caldron's voice continued. The collar limits speech. Pain response unlocks restricted recall. This is efficient. Ava stepped between the attendants and the tool panel. Her hands stayed open. No, one attendant angled its head. Order is given. Ava crouched to the captive's level. Can you understand me? The captive gave a small nod. Ava spoke slowly. I will not hurt you. If they built a lie, we break the lie. If there is real danger, we solve it without cruelty. The captive tried to speak. No sound came. The collar flashed. Heat suddenly poured from the ceiling vents. The air thickened. The compact pushed harder. Ava scanned the room. She saw a medical panel with a system status line. She saw a floor vent near the wall. She saw a seam in the panel frame, slightly uneven. Facilities were built by rules, left seams. Ava walked to the medical panel and pressed the corner. At first it did not move. She pushed again. Harder. A quiet click answered. The panel shifted outward. Stop. An attendant warned. Ava pulled the panel open. Wires and a thin data link sat behind it. She grabbed the link and yanked it free. The lights flickered. The heat dropped for one breath. Then surged. A warning tone sounded rougher than before. Ava spoke toward the ceiling. If your emergency is real, your systems should reroute. If it is fake, your program will fight itself. The warning tone rose. Door locks clicked. A side door changed from red to green as emergency protocols took control. Ava went to the captive's bindings. The latch was simple. She pressed it. The binds fell away. The captive rubbed its wrist. Stunned. Ava pointed to the green door. Move. The attendant stepped forward to block them. Ava moved first, planting herself in their path. She did not strike. She did not need to. She just held space and time. The captive slipped past her and ran. Ava followed, breathing hard and refusing to look at the tools again. Behind them, Caldron's voice cut through the speakers. Subject demonstrates unacceptable unpredictability. Ava ran faster. Unpredictable was what they called any human choice they could not control. On Earth, she had learned a simpler word for it. Decent. The corridor led into a wide hall with low lights and smooth walls. Emergency signals flashed and read along the ceiling, but the air felt normal. Ava kept moving with the captive beside her. The captive's steps were uneven, like its legs were not used to running. Ava slowed just enough to match its pace. What is your name? The captive touched its collar and then its chest. A simple gesture. Soren, it said in a rough voice, as if the collar had loosened. Ava's eyes narrowed. You can speak now. Soren nodded. The lock is tied to the station mode. Triggered emergency. It broke the limit. Ava let out a short breath. Good? Then you can help me. They reached a junction where three paths split. A wall panel displayed compact symbols and arrows. Ava could not read them, but Soren leaned in and pointed to the left route. Tribunal chamber, Soren said. Delegates are there. Ava's throat tightened. That is where they judge Earth. Soren looked at her. They judge you. Ava started left. Two security drones floated into view. Black shapes with lens eyes. A calm voice came from them. Return to the trial. Subject is to be contained. Ava raised both hands, palms out. We are going to the tribunal. The drones moved closer. Soren stepped forward, then stopped, afraid. Ava spoke fast and clear. Soren, is there a rule for witness protection? Soren blinked, then nodded. Yes, a citizen witness can demand transit if they claim unlawful detention. Ava pointed at the drones. Tell them now. Soren lifted his chin and spoke in compact language. The translator in Ava's ear caught a few words and shaped them into meaning. Citizen Soren of the compact unlawful detention and requests transit to the tribunal. The drones froze. Their lens eyes shifted as if checking a system. One drone spoke again, less certain. Claim received. Transit permitted. Escort required. Ava lowered her hands. Escort then. But you do not touch him. The drones turned and floated ahead, guiding them down the hall. Ava kept close to Soren, ready in case the machines changed their mind. The compact loved rules, but it also loved twisting them. They arrived at a large door with the closed eye symbol. This time the eye was open. The door slid aside. The tribunal chamber was bigger than Ava remembered. A raised platform sat at the far end with many seats behind a long curved desk. Alien delegates filled the seats, different colors, all watching. Dark glass lined the walls. Lights shone down like a stage. In the center stood Director Caldron, still and neat. He looked at Ava with controlled anger. Ava walked forward until she stood in the open. Soren stayed beside her. Drones stopped near the entrance. Caldron lifted one hand. The subject has violated trial conditions. Ava did not bow. Your trial conditions included torture. A low murmur moved through the delegates. Caldron's voice stayed smooth. A controlled stimulus necessary to access critical code. The ring was in danger. Ava looked up at the delegates. Was it a story used to make me hurt someone? One delegate leaned forward. Its eyes were bright like metal. Subject, the compact does not use false emergencies. Ava pointed at the drones near the door. Ask your system why emergency mode unlocked a speech caller. If it was a real station danger, why was the citizen inside my test? Caldron stepped in. The citizen volunteered for service. Soren spoke, voice shaking but loud enough. I did not volunteer. I was taken. I was told my refusal would be recorded as disloyal. I was silent. Silence hit the room, heavy and sharp. A delegate on the far right rose from its seat. Director Caldron, is this accurate? Caldron's eyes tightened. The process required a variable with strong incentive. Ava's hands curled into fists, then relaxed again. She forced her voice to stay basic and clear. You asked if humans are dangerous. Watch what you did. You built a test that demanded cruelty. You call that safety. That is fear wearing a uniform. Caldron's tone turned cold. Humans are unstable. Earth's history proves it. Violence, expansion, conquest. Ava held his gaze. Earth's history also proves rescue. It proves rebuilding after storms and fires. It proves people sharing water when there is not enough. You cannot judge a world by its worst day. Ethan Cole stepped out from a side entry, allowed into the tribunal as liaison. His face was tight with stress. He looked at Ava, at Soren, then at Caldron. Ava spoke to the delegates again. You tested me for days. You tried to corner me into one choice. Selfish, weak, or cruel. But humans do not live by single choices. We live by what we do after the first mistake. We learn, we fix. We try again. One delegate asked. What does Earth offer if not oversight? Ava answered. Shared rules for both sides. Open review. Joint disaster teams. Trade, science, and medical work. If you want peace, you cannot build it with cages. Caldron's jaw moved as if he wanted to cut in. But the metal-eyed delegate raised a hand. Director Calvin, step back. Calvin hesitated, then did as told. The delegates spoke among themselves in quick, compact language. Ava could not follow every word, but she caught the shape of it. Doubt, anger, debate, a shift. Finally, the metal-eyed delegate faced Ava. Earth's petition will continue. Conditions will be mutual. No hidden trials. No forced oversight without consent. Ava felt her chest as if a weight had been hanging from her ribs for a week. The delegate turned to Soren. Citizen Soren will be protected. An inquiry will begin into detention and misuse of trial authority. Caldron's face did not change, but his eyes looked smaller. Ava turned slightly and watching her like he had been holding his breath for days. He gave a short nod, more relief than pride. As guards moved to escort Caldron away, Ava stood still for a moment. She was sore. She was tired. She was still trapped inside a place built to control her. Something had shifted. The compact had seen a human refuse the easy path. They had tested her for 7 days. Earth had trained her for a lifetime. Not to win games, but to keep her hands clean when it mattered.